I did go onto the internet about 5 years ago, and I spent probably 3.5 years compulsively gambling. And I wasn't that lonely person that you described, but I ended up being that lonely person you described because of what the internet enabled me to do, in secret. And when you're actually doing it, you don't actually think about too much else, to be honest with you.
Do you gamble on things you think you're good at?
Yeah.
Or do you gamble on anything?
For me personally, I was horses and football.
And you know about horses?
I know a hell of a lot. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, fair enough. That's the question, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Yes, I know about horses. So, you wouldn't gamble on dog racing, then?
I have done.
Yeah.
Because I'm compulsive gambling, but it would be in a moment where I'd be chasing money, maybe, or just because I'm bored, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So, the thing is, what I was leading up to is, one of my sons is a very good poker player. Mm. He played at university, and they play fairly hardball poker there. Mm. And I'm a pretty good poker player. And we played poker when we were on holiday. We played for pennies. Literally for pennies. And the thrill of playing poker against, another good player was great. I would never in a million years play poker for money against anybody else.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing for money, I was playing to prove that I was better than he was.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of what we were doing. To go on the internet and play against a faceless, totally anonymous pack of cards,
yeah.
I cannot imagine why anyone would do that, and I'm serious. It just doesn't appeal to me at all. So is the thrill for you the beating someone, or is it just, I don't care how I win it, I'll win it? I want to win on anything. I'll bet on those two flies up the wall. I'll bet on, I know, who crosses the road first, or all those things.
I think it was a bit of both.
Yeah.
To be honest. I'll just finish off on one final point.
Sure.
About you say they're faceless pack of cards, but you'd actually be quite surprised because there's quite a big forum community in a lot of these sites where people chat to each other, and they'll show these characteristics of showing off when they're winning and not, you know what I mean, and bragging about, and everyone will be chipping in with the information that they think that they're right, and it just gets you in deeper and deeper and deeper. So you're not, even though you're at the computer on your own, you're not actually on your own. There are hundreds of other people there, in these forums and that as well.
Yeah, I realise that there are people operating the other set of cards, but you're not looking at them, you're not talking to them, you're not sharing a drink with them afterwards, or a luck story with them afterwards, you're not going home with them, you're not sleeping with them, you're not eating with them. They're not part of your life. Whereas if you're playing whatever you play with other people, it's the thrill of sharing that with someone like that, maybe. Maybe just the thrill of proving to yourself you were right. I come back to the horse racing analogy earlier. I mean, it is one of the most colourful, spectacular sports that we have in this country. To me, it's one of my favourite sports, what it is. And I can go there and never have a bet. Just watch the athletes, watch the colours, enjoy the spectacle, the atmosphere, the people, everything. It's a great day out. For me it is. Because I love it. I don't need to bet on it. But I know people who go simply to have a bet. They're only going to have a bet. They couldn't care less. They don't watch the racing. They're standing in the bar looking with, their back to the track, or even their back to the TV screen which is showing it. And one classic example of that was, only once in my life was I invited to Royal Ascot, and I was in the Royal Enclosure along with all the people that, should be the best informed horse people in the world. And, they hadn't got a clue. They didn't know from their elbow. They didn't watch the horses. They wouldn't have known the back from the front of one. They didn't watch the track. They had their back to the track throughout the entire meeting. And I thought, what a bunch of bums. What a complete waste of time for them to have a lovely day out, as they clearly could have had, horse racing. But all they were interested in doing was drinking champagne and telling each other how rich they were. And I thought how awfully sad that they couldn't enjoy that which they could clearly have afforded to enjoy a lot better than they did. It was a real shocker to go to probably the greatest horse race meeting in the world, well, the greatest horse race, where the best horse flesh, the best bred horses in the world, are on display, the world's fastest and best horses, and not even watch it. It was a sadness, and I think an awful lot of people involved in flat racing are incredibly sad. And if you're one of them, I'm sorry if I upset you, but I'm not going to change my mind. Darren is in Ruislip. Darren, good evening, you're on talkSPORT.
Hello, basically I've got a disorder called ADHD, ADD, which is attention deficit disorder. I've been diagnosed with it, and basically I didn't know for years. I'm 38 now, and I had this obsession where I'd go on machines and just play them, and it wasn't the winning, it was just focusing on something, and it doesn't matter who was with me, I'd just do it. And it's like drinking, you get a load of bad habits, and I think there's a lot of people out there who don't realise they've got disorders, and they gamble for the sake of it. There's no rational reason for doing it. It's just I've actually been diagnosed with it. I'm on sort of like, I've gone through like years of sort of seeing doctors and different sorts of things. I go to the Maudsley Clinic in London. It's just, I never understood why I gambled. It wasn't the winning. I never liked horse racing. It's all things, I gamble on most things where I don't really care about, it's like I don't have to think too much. It's just the actual go on and focus on something and you get absorbed by it,
Well, I'm not going to take you on concerning ADHD, but let's just talk about fruit machines. That must be your ideal.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, I go in a pub and you be with people and you just, and you forget they're there sometimes. And it's like you don't care. You just go. And
so you join forces with the fruit machine?
Yeah.
And to hell with everybody else?
Well, that's what it becomes like. But then once you've lost the money, and it comes I don't do it so much anymore, but when I was younger, I used to just go and keep taking money out of a hole in the wall, but I can't do that anymore because I've had all those things taken away from me. But that's what it become like. You keep going back and trying to win the money back, even though there's no way you could do it. It was just, you win the money back, but it wasn't the winning a lot of the time. It was just the taking part, it's just stupid. It was like people look like you're totally mad, but you can't help it. It's like a total fixation with something, you get on it and you just carry on. I mean,
it's beyond my understanding. I don't even know what to say to you. I mean, fruit machines, as far as I'm concerned, I may be out of a limb here, but if I walk into any premises, pub, club or whatever it is, and there's a fruit machine, I'm straight out the other door. Because I think the fruit machines are anything but mindless morons.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
But you're not a mindless moron.
I like to think I'm not, but obviously your assumption sounds right because you just do it. There's a lot of people who don't. It's like you get taken over, and you don't think about what you're doing and how much money you're spending. You just do it, and only afterwards do you comprehend what you've done. But it's too late then. You just do. Because horsing, people think they can win on the horses, but it's just gambling is gambling. Yeah,
I mean, I don't go to win, I go to watch. Thank you very much for the call. It's lovely to win occasionally. My God, it is. Coming away with a fiver left out of the 30 you were going to spend. That's a result for me. Paul is in Liverpool. Paul, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Hello, Mike. You all right?
Yes, Paul. What's on your mind?
Well, to be honest with you, mate, I had loads of things to say, but I can see it's come up to the news.
No, you've got plenty of time. Go on.
Well, I've been to jail. I'm actually driving now, Mike, because I've lost $3,500 a day on the computer. I've been losing $3,500 a day for the past few months, and I've made it with the missus. I'm just driving now it's just to stay out the house, but I'm a bit upset, to be honest with you.
What have you lost $3,500 on?
On the computer today, but I'm losing it every day, Mike. I mean, I'm getting money from, unsavoury people, if you can put it that way, and I'm indebted to my eyebrows, and it's going to, the poo is going to hit the fan, should we say, without using the other word soon.
So you're borrowing money to gamble with?
Yeah, and I've been to jail. The big point I wanted to make, Mike, is I've been to jail 3 times. I've lost millions over the last 6 or 7 years, and I mean millions. Like, if you might think, he's speaking out of turn now, where's he getting it from? But believe me, I've lost it. I've been to jail 3 times due to gambling. I've committed fraud. I earned a lot of money committing the frauds, but it was all to gamble with. But what does me head in even more, Mike, is there's just no help. I mean, if I went to court for what I did, if I went to court with a load of holes in my arms and no teeth and said I'm a heroin addict, I would have I wouldn't have even been sent to jail. I'd have been sent to rehab. I'll come back, and after they go back before the judge, you've been off drugs for so long, right, we'll give you a chance, we won't send you to jail. But you just get large sentences for what I did, and then when you get to jail, there's people in there who are robbing old women and battering women and robbing houses and all that, and they're getting all the help they need because they're drug addicts.
You're saying there's no help?
I tried to get help in jail. I've seen Gamblers Anonymous once in 3.5 years.
Well, thank you very much for the call, and I really hope you can somehow control yourself and at least maintain your family life. I mean, 3.5 grand. My God, who can afford to lose 3.5 grand once? He reckons he's losing that sort of money every day and borrowing, from his phrase, unsavoury characters, in other words, extortionate loan rates, interest rates, to gambling in. I don't know how you stop, but then I don't know how you become addicted. But for what it's worth, I will give you Gamblers Anonymous helpline number. I don't feel obliged to, but I will do. 0207 384 3040. That's 0207 384 3040. He said he only saw them once in 3.5 years during the time he was in jail. I hope you have better luck getting through to them, and indeed to me. Keep the calls coming. This is talkSPORT. Good evening, I'm Mike Dickin. This is talkSPORT. We're talking about gambling, and we're talking about in particular reference to the internet. As a compulsive or addicted gambler, has your life become more difficult because it's now so very easy to gamble via the internet? You don't have to ask permission, you don't have to be any age, you don't have to be short or tall or even dressed. You can go and lose all your money, and somebody else's, without anybody knowing a thing. Has it made your life worse? This is talkSPORT.
On 1089 and 1053 AM.
I declare that the person elected
around the world.
We need to build a bridge
around the clock.
What is moral about that?
From the Sky News Centre, talkSPORT on the Hour News.
The top stories from the Sky News Centre at 11.
On 1089 and 1053 AM. Mike Dickin on talkSPORT.
Good evening, I'm Mike Dickin. This is talkSPORT. We're discussing the internet and its relationship with gambling, or your relationship with gambling as a result of the internet. Also, it's, I've been told during the news, that women are now becoming more inclined to gamble than they ever were before, because it avoids them going into the smoky old betting shop, or to go anywhere else for that matter. They can sit at home and type away on the computer, and there you are. You are all of a sudden having a little flutter. And that little flutter may be successful, it may not be, but it'll keep you entertained for a little while. And then the stakes get higher, and it keeps you entertained for a little longer. And then you're on to the credit cards, and that one's maxed out, try another one. And so it goes on. That's what I'm told happens. Not in every case, not in all cases, not in that many cases. But where it does happen, it can happen in such a serious way that people lose everything, up to and including their own homes. I'm sure they always did. But is it so easy now that more and more people are inclined to gamble simply because it's so readily available on the internet? 08704 20 20 20 is the number. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
What's on your mind, Kevin?
Well, basically, I'm just fishing over in Bayford at the moment. I was just listening to your programme. Since the launch of the internet, I'll be honest with you, I actually bet less, basically, just because of, since like the poker took over, I mean, I just play in tournaments, don't bother doing the cash games really, and you can just muck around on there, and I actually bet less now. I don't go down the bookies at all. So I just think you need more of a balanced argument with it.
Well, I think you're right about playing the tournament and not playing the cash. You're talking about playing for chips, which are valueless.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you can enter these till $5, $10, and let's be honest, what's that? £2.50, £3. It's not a great deal, and sometimes you can be on there for like 3.5 hours. But
you can do it without. If you've got a poker set at home or a set of cards and some chips, you don't need to spend any money at all. Well, you just play to see who gets the biggest pile of chips.
Yeah, I mean, I play with my friends on Monday evenings. We just play for $5 each sort of thing, and we muck about like that. But we also do sort of play at home. But I'll be honest with you, there's a couple of things on the internet that some people know about, some people don't. There's a lot of scams going, where like people are playing cash games. Say if there's, I don't know, you've got 10 friends, you could all be sitting around. You got MSN Messenger, and then you can talk to each other and tell each other what card you got.
No, that's beyond me, so I'll let you go. But thank you for the call.
Well,
I haven't got a clue on what that's all about. Computers and I have a relationship which is becoming increasingly more distant. In fact, we're on the point of divorce. I use a computer as a typewriter, and that's about the limit of it. Although occasionally I will flick onto the internet and want some information, and once I've waded my way through all the advertisements, whatever you put up on the internet, it seems you're plagued by all manner of advertisements for something you want absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with. By the time you ploughed your way through there and you get to the site that you really thought you were going to get the information from, there are 20 possibilities to get the information you want. Each one you go on to seems to want to flog you something first. And in consequence, I have to say, I said it years ago and I'm going to stick to it, I don't believe the internet is as good as many people believe it to be, and as important as many people believe it to be. I think it's one of the most dangerous inventions since the hydrogen bomb. But that's another matter. We're talking about it in relation to gambling and how easy it is now to gamble. Even if you've never gambled before, you've got to be encouraged to the minute you switch the damn thing on. 08704 20 20 20 is the number. John is in Ealing. John, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Indeed I can.
Let me tell you my story. I was 19 years old, lying in a bath, with the water right to the top of the bath. I'd taken 4 packets of Nurofen. If I'd taken a different brand, I wouldn't be speaking to you right now. I was completely and utterly hooked on fruit machines, to an extent where I was eating bags of crisps for tea. It ruled my life. It's a disease. Don't let anyone fool you. It's a serious, serious disease. And the stories I hear about gambling being so free and easy really scare the hell out of me. It affected my teenage years. It affected my 20s. I couldn't go out without going on a fruit machine. It ruined my social life. I'd get a haze over me. I would spend all my money. I'd borrow money. I once knocked over a fruit machine and also almost killed someone because of my anger.
How much can you lose on a fruit machine?
I went to Gamblers Anonymous, and there were businessmen sitting next to me who used to put 10p pieces in 3 or 4 machines and spend all day, and they lost thousands and thousands of pounds. I spoke to people who lost their house, the furniture, you name it, they lost it just through fruit machines. Now I know, now that my life's been upgraded, I've got a bit more money, fruit machines don't bother me, I don't go on them. But if I started gambling again and I went for bigger stakes, believe you me, I would lose everything in my life, and I know that. I'm a compulsive gambler. And
so you stay away from the internet?
I tried it, and I tried to intellectualize it and convince myself I shouldn't. I tried it once. I went on because they offered they matched your stake. But I knew, I could see the signs, I could see the way I was feeling, the sort of, you get into a zone, you get into a kind of, something grips you and you just can't get out of it, and you're not happy until you've spent all your money, and I know that, so I steer clear of it. Is
it anything to do with self-esteem?
Yes, it is. It is. It's to do with self-esteem, it's to do with insecurity. It's not the actual playing, it's the not wanting to lose, it's the being beaten aspect of it. I mean, you don't really enjoy it. I mean, I don't bet on a soccer or a football match because I know I'm not going to enjoy the game. I will not enjoy the game. I'm just thinking about winning all the time. And it scares the hell out of me, the fact that they're planning on these super casinos, because there are so many people out there that are affected by this, and there's no visible signs. You don't have red spots, you don't have cough up blood, you don't know. And it's hard to explain. You're not a compulsive gambler, presumably, are you?
No.
It's hard to explain to someone, and it's just very frightening. I mean, my dad took me around all these banks, paying off my debts, and I was more scared about telling my dad at the time when I was a student, and he was amazed. I was lying in hospital, having had my stomach pumped, and I said, I'm addicted to fruit machines. He couldn't believe it. He said, why didn't you tell me? And it becomes such a secret, you know, when you're that age. And it just, my message is basically do not underestimate gambling.
It is the fruit machine thing you keep mentioning. What is it about? I mean, I've seen them.
Yeah.
And I know the guy that was running a campaign on what was then Greater London Council to stop them being erected at the number they were because of the amount of kids that went on them.
They are absolutely
and he said they were the worst. That fruit machines were the worst. They're worse than any other form of gambling, he reckoned.
What caught... I didn't get your name, sorry.
Mike.
Mike, what got me... Because I came from a different country, you can tell by my accent.
No, couldn't much.
When I came over here, I used to go 10-pin bowling with my family, and these machines were readily available for kids.
Yeah.
And they really suck you in, because they tease you, they give you a little win, and then they take all your damn money. They take everything to the last penny. You can put £100 in these damn things, and you won't win. They're absolutely evil. And they're programmed psychologically to almost hypnotize you. And kids get on those things, and they're hypnotized by the lights. It is research. It's scientific. It is absolutely evil. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound melodramatic.
No, I'm interested to hear what you say, but simply because I can't understand the fascination of playing a fruit machine. But I've seen people who sound as though they're in exactly the situation you're in.
I was in.
And what you were in, and they cannot resist them.
It's hard. I mean, you ask the people that design these things if they'll speak to you on the radio. The people who actually design them, you ask them behind the scenes, and I don't know how they can sleep at night because they're not innocent. It's not like the old fruit machines you get in Las Vegas where you have 3 bells in it. No, they're all super complicated and super brainwashing now, and kids get on those things. I almost died. I actually tried to kill myself. I actually tried to kill myself because of them.
And I wouldn't know how to play one. The one you talk of, the one we're familiar with, 3 pears, 3 apples, whatever. Yeah, I suppose we've all seen them, and would know exactly what they were. But the ones that, I'll tell you, we have a moment, so I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I think I may have said this before, but I'll tell it again. A few years ago, my car broke down in Dartford. Not somewhere I particularly wanted to be, but it did. And while I was waiting for the breakdown company, the only place, it was pouring rain, I didn't want to sit in the car, there was a bookies. So I went into bookies just to watch what was going on and maybe have a bet on a horse, I don't know, I just went in to get in the dry, really.
Yeah.
And a guy came in there, and he was in builder's overalls and big boots and all the rest of it, and he was a bit rough. And he changed £300 into £1 coins.
Yeah.
And he went to this machine, which looked to me like a Dalek. I mean, it was just immensely well lit everywhere. There were lights flashing, 1,000,001 switches. But he seemed very adept at playing it, rather like a pianist. And he spent £300 in, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes.
It's a fever.
He lost every penny. He kicked the machine, came out with the most foul language, and walked out of the shop.
It's a fever. You get into a fever, and you don't... If there's anyone out there in this situation, fruit machines, horses, whatever, if it's a problem, go to GA, go to Gamblers Anonymous. You'll sit down, and there's people around you, and you'll think, my God, I never thought this was so serious. I thought it was just a laugh, but it is absolutely serious. And the sooner people actually realise that and get help, I mean, it might not affect you. You're not a compulsive gambler. You can stop. You can put 10 quid in and walk away. A compulsive gambler will go around all his friends, borrow the money, and they won't be happy till they put every single penny in there. It's not about winning. It's almost about getting rid of your money. You're only happy when you've got no money left.
Trying to get to that with an earlier caller. It's just a theory I have. It holds no more water than anybody else's. But I don't believe that gambling is about winning.
No, it isn't. I've walked out of casinos at 6 in the morning, and thank God I've got no money left. Roulette. I went from fruit machines to roulette, and roulette was a horrible thing. But it is that feeling when they put that glass thing on top of your chips, and you get all those chips. So there is a feeling, a lovely winning feeling that is seductive. it is so seductive, and you want it again and again and again and again. You want to feel that ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. That's what you want. And that's what you're missing in your life. You're missing some sort of fulfillment in your life.
Indeed. John, thank you very much for the call. I think he's probably on the right lines to be helping other people, never mind helping himself. It is a lack of fulfillment, isn't it? It's something missing from your life. And you think gambling can replace it. Or are we going too deep into this? I mean, gambling to most people, and let's be fair about this, most people, the large majority, the very large majority, is a bit of fun, take it or leave it. Don't let's condemn gambling as though it's something absolutely evil, because I don't think it is. Mike is in Coventry. Mike, good evening, you're on talkSPORT.
Hello there, Mike. How are you doing?
Yes, Mike.
Good. My health is not in question. There we go. Yeah, fruit machines. When I was younger, I was working on an apprenticeship, paid good money. Went to various clubs, and it was like £100 machine. I stuck a fiver in, didn't get the fiver. Stuck another tenner in, didn't get my tenner back. And then it was a fight between me and the machine.
Yeah.
And I'd stick in like 100 quid, just to get 100 quid back. And there've been times where I've been down to my last penny and borrowed, because they had a machine there that I could put my card in, and away I'd go, I'd get another 100 quid of cash.
Can you do it on cards?
Well, I did it on cards from the clubs, because they'd let me...
I didn't know you could do that.
No, it's separate from the fruit machine itself.
All right.
But the clubs that I was in, that I could stick my card in, I wasn't going to mention which card it was, but they'd allow me like £500, yeah? And I'd go to that and I'd stick out 200 quid in pound coins to play the fruit machine. And I was glued to the bloody thing, yeah? If it took me 50 quid, hey, I'm going to stick another 50 quid to get my 50 quid back. And it is totally mesmerising. There were some times where you were up on them. You know, you maybe 300, 400, 500 quid up on a week. But overall, it totally screwed you.
There was a case that I witnessed from afar, but I was in the place at the time, so I know it happened, where one bloke had been feeding a fruit machine all night. He'd been standing there, and he ran out of money, and he wanted to go to the bar to get some more change. But there was somebody else behind him waiting to play the machine. And he said, "Don't touch that machine. It's mine. It's about to cough. I'm just going to get some more change." And the bloke said, "Hang on, mate." He said, "If you've run out of money, it's my go now. You've been on there 2 hours." He said, "If you touch that machine..."
I'll break your fucking neck.
Exactly. I mean, I wish you hadn't used the word, but you did.
No, but he did.
They fought. They actually started to fight over whose go it was to go on this machine.
What I used to do, some of them with the £100 machines used to be automated. And what I used to do is, I knew I was getting low on funds, and I've got probably a tenner left in change. I put the tenner in, and put it on automated, so it'd carry on playing. And then seriously, that's how bad it was. And I'd go to the bar and go, "Right, please can I, blah, 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 blah." And I'd be turning around like psychotically looking at the machine, making sure nobody touched it. Yeah? And then back to it. It is so sad, and I'm unfortunately quite intellectual on various things, and it is so sad. I got away from it. I ended up paying off my 600 odd debt without nobody knowing. And then there came a time 5 years later where I was playing in the darts team, and there was a machine. It was a £100 machine. I knew the machine. I knew I could nail out the 100 on it. And I went on there with like a fiver, and I nailed out 25, and that 25 went.
Straight back
But I totally ignored the rest of my teammates. I'd done my bit, and I ended up penniless at the end of it and had to walk home.
You're never going to win, ultimately, if you can't stop doing it.
No.
If you walk away on your first win, or your first loss, nobody's any the wiser, you're not any worse off, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to stand there anyway, as you said, you nailed 25 quid, and bunged it back in.
Yeah. It's all about beating the machine. I'm not going to let this bloody thing beat me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the call. It's just adding fuel to the fire, isn't it? It's making it even more clear than perhaps it was earlier. I, as many of us do, travel to and from Europe on ferries. For me, it's more convenient than flying. And on the ferry boats, there's always a section where there are these fruit machines. Now, I'm told, I don't know if it's true, but these are deregulated because they're at sea and outside the territorial waters, that they will pay out something like £1,000, I'm told. I don't know if that's true. But there is always a mad rush from certain people to get to them. I don't wish to be rude, but I can almost draw you a picture of the people that are going to go and rush these machines. They always look, well, quite like one another. David is on the M25. David, good evening. Good evening. Very well, really.
Yeah, just from an industry insider's point of view, I actually work in the games industry, and I have to design the games that a lot of your callers are talking about.
Right.
And, you know, I've got a lot of sympathy for what the guy that was just on was saying. It's very true. I used to play them myself an awful lot. That's kind of how I got into it in the first place. And, I mean, the simple fact of the matter is the machines are there to make money. It's, you know, you cannot, in the long run, win money from gambling. Roulette pays out 97.2%. Fruit machines average probably about 80%. So, you know, they are supposed to be fun, and unfortunately what we term core players are the kind of people that will put in hundreds of pounds a day. And unfortunately, with the whole Gambling Act, I mean, for me it's great because we're getting to design new games, but for people that are easily addicted to gambling, then the onset of the new style unlimited jackpots, unlimited stake, Las Vegas style machines, for want of a better term, are just going to become more and more commonplace. We've already seen, you know, £500 machines going into bookies and to arcades that never used to have machines with that kind of jackpot. You're talking about £2 every spin. They can take a lot of money off you very quickly. And, you know, it's... We have our own code of conduct with BACTA, and basically we kind of police ourselves in terms of trying to make sure that people don't get addicted, and, you know, those that
How do you do that? How can you do that?
Well, it's quite simply on the front of the machines, and on each one of the machines now, especially the video terminals, there'll be a page that they can go to which gives them information on, you know, what they shouldn't, when they shouldn't play. Just gives them information on playing tips. You know, make sure it's money that you can afford to lose. Gambling should be fun. And then there's the Gamblers Anonymous number, or GamCare, I think it is actually on ours. Which people can phone up for confidential advice if they need it. It is a problem, but you know, with anything, it's like, you know, there's people smoke, they get addicted to cigarettes. People gamble, they get addicted to gambling.
The difference is that I don't see any harm in gambling. Anybody wants to gamble as long as they only bet what they can afford. It's a bit of fun. It's the others who can't control themselves that give gambling a bad name.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, no matter how well the industry is policed by itself or outside, like the Gambling Commission, for example, that's not going to change. We cannot sit next to someone when they're playing the machine and say, right, you've got to your limit now, please stop. We can put messages up on the machine that say, for example, in the last hour you've lost £60, do you still want to carry on? And those kind of things have been done in the past and may come into force legally in the future. But there's only so much information you can give to people, and at the end of the day it's up to them to make those decisions. And if people blame the industry, then at the end of the day we're just supplying a product that people want to play.
No, I'm not going down that road. I think you're quite right to point that out. It is not the industry's fault. It is the fault of the player, and it has to be the responsibility of the players when they play the machine. It's the anonymity of the internet that I wonder, and I'm not blaming anybody. You're not forced to do this. But is it because it's anonymous? I won't get caught. Nobody will know I'm doing this. I'm afraid they do. They're the people who have to pay the bills that you can't afford to pay. 08704 20 20 20 is the number. This is talkSPORT.
On 1089 and 1053 AM, talkSPORT.
Just before we go on, can I remind you about the golf next week? It's the Open Championship comes from Royal Liverpool, and we'll be there. When I say we, talkSPORT will be there all day. We will. Thursday and Friday from 10 until 7, and Saturday and Sunday from 12 till 8. Full commentary, every ball, you will not miss a thing. It is a biggie, a very biggie. And I suppose it's going to relate to what we're talking about. I imagine a few quid will be changing hands as to who's going to win and who isn't going to win the Open this year. It's fascinating if you can follow it on the radio. Oh, the other thing you can do, of course, is watch it on telly, turn the sound down, and listen to the likes of Bob Budka, the voice of golf, and Rupert Bell, if he can find his way there. Never seems to know where he is, that boy. 08704 20 20 20 is the number. Nick is on the M40. Woof. Nick, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mike. How you doing? I used to run an online casino, which was, strangely enough, a casino base, which was web-based. I think the biggest thing for us was we had two versions. One where you could play for free, and one where you could play for real.
Right.
So at that point, somebody could download the software, and they could play, say, blackjack. And of course, if it's play money, you get a bet like $500 a hand. And the biggest conversion we found was when somebody actually won playing for fun. You'd always get the wow. If only I was playing that for real.
So that obviously that was the hook. That's what you wanted to do, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And there was a little flashing button in the corner. It said, "Would you like to play for real now?" And I think the biggest thing with gamblers is the chasing. In all honesty, basically, if you go in with say $100 or £100 and you lose it, you think, well, okay, I've lost that, but if I put in another £100, I'll get that back, and so on and so on and so on. And our biggest hook really was people that was chasing. They'd lose a little bit and think, well, if I bet a little bit more, I get that back. They lose that. Well, if I bet a little bit more, I'll get that back, and so on. We had one guy that put in $500, and he actually went up to $50,000. And instead of doing the sensible thing and cashing in, he bet $500 a hand over a period of hours. He lost a lot.
Oh. What was it? I mean, you presumably are retired now and living on an island somewhere in the Caribbean.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. It's not as lucrative as you think. I mean, the actual take in the casino is if somebody's in playing blackjack, for example, is less than 1%.